Serious, what is the harshest truth you've ever learned? Sometimes you are the bad guy. Excuse me, good sir. You're forgetting the most important bad guy in the history of the world, and that is Chael, the American gangster Sonnen. Undefeated. Undisputed. Never lost a round. But for real, man. That's deep. Doing your best and giving it your all doesn't always mean things will turn out the way you want. Sometimes things just go bad. To add on. And X200B. Doing your best and giving it your all doesn't in any way mean you will absolutely go farther in your career. If anything, it will stunt your career to work harder than everyone else around you. That no matter how much you care for and value someone, they're never obligated to be the same to you. Especially friends. Yes. This was like a bucket of cold water dumped on me. My husband and I are friends with a couple. We feel really close to them. Our kids love each other. We have very similar family values. When the wife had surgery, I was pretty emotional, privately. There was a risk of the surgery going horribly wrong. In my head, I was thinking that if they ever needed us to, I would take care of their kids in a heartbeat. No question about it. Her surgery went well. She recovered well. But my husband and I have no family in this country. And we tentatively asked them if they would consider being named legal guardians for our kids. And crickets. I'm not bitter about them not saying yes. Because it's a huge thing to ask anyone. I just feel stupid for thinking that my deep feelings for them were reciprocated when they weren't. I still care deeply about them, but I've learned not to assume it goes both ways. Don't fall in love with potential. I did fall in love with my husband's potential. I just happened to be one of the lucky 1 in a million it worked out for. 10/10 don't recommend it. Most people do not change. It was a really hard f***ing road. Mental illness is no joke. His willingness to seek help and try medication was everything. To anyone out there struggling, please start talking to someone about what you're going through. Life can be so much more than struggle, and it's okay to need help figuring it out. That even your best friend can turn into a stranger rather fast. It can go the other way too. A stranger can be a best buddy in no time. My girlfriend's friend's boyfriend is a guy I met once. The girls are now long gone. But I'm on year 10 of hanging with him near daily. This happened at age 28. I am nowhere near as smart, nice, or likable as I thought I was to myself. Try lowering your expectations. Considered myself a shitty person and a burden to everyone I meet, and was pleasantly surprised that people actually like hanging out with me. Every organization, no matter how lauded, how aspirational, how trusted, is still at the end of the day comprised of very fallible humans. That's a good one to call out. People spend so much time trying to tear down generally good things because they don't like what some employee or volunteer did in a moment of weakness. When someone dies, you are never seeing them again. The day my partner died, I fell into my bed at night and cried my absolute heart out, knowing I would never hear her voice again, and it destroyed me. My bedroom was so quiet, dull and hollow, and I just felt hopeless. That was 6 years ago, and I can vividly remember my surroundings and feelings from that moment. You can speak as many languages as you want, have multiple degrees and certificates, and still be rejected at the simplest of jobs. I learned this at my college graduation. The woman who gave our speech gave a long story about how she ended up $200K in debt and still worked at McDonald's for 20+ years before landing a small office job at a law firm. She had enough degrees to own her own firm, but not enough money or job experience to do so. Life goes fast. Like super fast after you turn 24. My stepdad told me that I'd blink and be 40. Well, I blinked, and being 40 sucks. I f***ing knew it. I knew 24 was the age. It was actually when I turned 23 that I was like, holy shit. This is not gonna stop. The numbers just keep going up. I think it's when I felt like my age wasn't as much a part of my personality anymore. IDK. I'm afraid I'll be 26 soon. Loving someone unconditionally and being willing to do anything for them doesn't mean that they will feel the same way about you. In a relationship, love is not enough. Yup. Two people can love each other like crazy and it can still be impossible to make the relationship work. That one day our parents, grandparents, people who always have been there for you etc are going to be gone for the rest of your life. It sucks to outlive most of your family. I'm from a small family and my grandparents, parents, aunts and uncles on both sides are all gone. It's just me, my sister and a few cousins still living. Life is short. You grow up hearing this over and over again, but until you reach a certain age you don't have the perspective to fully grasp this. I disagree. Life is long. The longest thing you'll experience. Youth is short. By the time you realize your youth is over, most of your dreams are dead. Your life is actually comically short and it wasn't meant to feel long for your convenience. If you're 16 or older you've started feeling that uncomfortable feeling that a year is much shorter than you thought. Without help, trauma never goes away properly. I know this is frowned on, but thank you for the awards. They are much appreciated and make me smile. However, if you were considering a paid award, please instead donate that money to either your local mental health aid or your local animal shelter please. It can do so much good. Close bracket. Thank you all for your wonderful responses. Don't take anything for granted. Things change so fast and life is really short. I remember having so many friends not that long ago, who are now strangers. A big one for me is how many last times you're going to have. And how often you won't realize it's a last time. Things can change so fast. Go bowling every Monday? Have a convention you and your friends go to yearly? Hang out regularly with the same people? One day is going to be the last time it happens and almost without fail you will not know. Then you go days without talking to someone. Then weeks. Then months. Then one day you realize that you aren't really friends anymore. No major fallout. Just your lives are no longer compatible. That even thought people are hanging out with you doesn't mean that they always actually like you. I figured that out when I used to hang out with this girl and one day she just came up to me and told me that it's annoying how I always hung around her and the other girls and that I should probably just go away because a lot of the other girls didn't like me either. I had such a hard time trusting people after that. I didn't want to go to stuff like sleepovers or hang out after school with kids in high school even if they did invite me because I just had that voice in the back of my mind telling me don't hang out with them. They're only inviting you to be polite. Just decline, they'll have more fun without you. It f***ing sucks to be the poorest person in the room. But the pity is worse. Just motivation to work harder I guess. Sometimes the poorest are the richest. And the richest are the poorest. Seriously. The guy who makes $40k a year with a loving wife, stable fulfilling job, and sense of purpose is richer than the single 50-year-old making 6 or 7 figures. The caveat here is that you can't have a fulfilling job if you don't have a car to take you there or clean clothes to get an interview. Once you get out of desperate poverty, I think that happiness no longer is determined by how much money you make. No one is 100% in your corner. I'd like to think I'm as close to 100% in my kid's corner as humanly possible. That you never know when the last time is until it is too late. Last time you hugged a friend. Last time you said I love you. Double quote. Last time your kid crawled in bed for cuddles. Last time your parents called to chat. Last time you had a great time with someone before. Even the last times you look forward to end up passing by and mark the finality of time. I am not sure what the date was when I changed my last kid's diaper, but my babies aren't babies anymore. When it comes to grief, time does not heal all wounds. It dulls it. But one trigger and it floods back. I learned this after my dad and grandma died in 2015. Sad I know. But I resent the fact that people kept telling me I wouldn't feel it one day. I think we need to be honest about that so people know how to cope with grief in the right way and not hold out for a day when it won't be there lurking in the shadows. I'm never going to be wealthy enough to retire. Funny. I was worried about this today when I got the statement for my retirement account and realized I am not going to have enough money saved up to live on when I retire. I just really hope social security benefits will still be a thing when I retire. No matter how talented you are at something, there will always be someone way better than you. Talent. You're right. There will always be someone who's as talented or more talented than you are. Talent just gets you a seat at the table. Too many people think being talented is all you need and the opportunities will come rolling in. But that's not the case. It's the people who couple talent with gumption that get the opportunities. Hell, I've seen guys with barely any talent but strong work ethics and willingness to do whatever it takes run all over guys with obscene amounts of talent but no gumption. My dad is a terrible person and I am not immune to it. I have to let go of him. I have to actually reject my own parent. He's a crippled alcoholic and I have to essentially abandon him anyways because he's also an awful person. It is the right thing. But it feels very wrong. No matter what you have or what you do, you will be essentially forgotten after a few generations. Weirdly enough, this one doesn't really bother me that much. Like yeah, I will be essentially forgotten sooner or later. But it's not like I have much to be remembered for. In fact, most of us won't have much to be remembered for other than a few interesting stories here and there. So I might as well get used to the fact that I will be forgotten eventually. Sometimes, despite widespread evidence, logical reasoning and common sense, there will always be people who would blame the victim and support the abusers. Sometimes the nicest people just seem to get f-ked over by the universe through no fault of their own. That the world doesn't wait for you to be okay. You just gotta learn to pick yourself up and get better. Sounds like someone got you with some shit that's gonna make you explode or implode sometime down the line here. You can die at any moment. Any day of any number of thousands of reasons. Make every day count and live it like it's your last. Look back at your day. If you died and looked down at yourself, would you have done everything you wanted to? I was just going to say something similar. No guarantees. None whatsoever. I dealt with a 13-year-old last night who went from I don't feel good to full cardiac arrest in an hour. She had immediate CPR. Immediate medical attention. A helicopter on standby. And she died. The worst thing can happen to anyone at any time. Don't waste time. That no one cares. I got out of the army and thought the world would give me everything because everyone supports the troops. Double quote. Turns out, no one actually cares and only supports the troops until it becomes inconvenient. I've been turned down for more jobs for my military service. Even if you treat someone really well and you both love each other, it doesn't always end like a Hollywood movie. Sometimes there are too many obstacles. That most people are just assholes and will treat you with no respect. If they don't have to. Worked in retail long enough to not be surprised by any kind of shitty behavior anymore. It's the nice people that caught me off guard. This is why I try to be courteous to anybody helping me with anything customer service related. That occasional pleasantly surprised look is always nice. That life is just not fair. People will do bad things to you and not only get away with it but convince others that you're the problem. You may ask, where's the justice? There's no justice. There's the powerful and the powerless. Justice is a concept made to keep you and me from revolting. Ultimately, you must stand alone and what your loved ones think about you doesn't matter. In the end, you are you and that is enough. Sucks if you're caught up in getting likes and reactions in social media. Pedophilia and human trafficking are way closer to you than you realize. The amount of people actively working against humanity or its betterment is far greater than most people realize. Since a breakup of a long-term relationship, it's been the realization that I'm not as desirable as I thought I'd be. And the women I like seem to be out of my league. COVID's a shitty time to go looking for romance. I'm sorry. Live your life. Meet people. Leave expectations at the door. Accomplish things you can be proud of. Make progress. And genuinely let go. and laugh as much as possible. That confidence and happiness is the most potent perfume there is. That no matter how hard I try, she will never love me back. One thing I've learned is that sometimes it's just not meant to be. I've convinced a few ladies in my time to love me back. In the end, they failed because there just wasn't the connection we needed. Trust me, you'll find love when you least expect it and it'll be worth it. My niece asked her mum why I had to move away for work and she told her it was because I didn't accomplish anything in life and had no choice. She relayed it back to me really casually. Despite knowing that I come from an abusive childhood and being there when I wasn't allowed to do certain things in life. That we are very much like arrows launched into the sky. Good parents build the best bow they can and hope their aim is true and their arm is strong, knowing that if they shoot well, they will never be able to catch up to their offspring. But the world will progress, and the future will hopefully be brighter. Okay parents, find whatever bow they can scrounge. Try not to waver too much as they fire, and hope they didn't FCK it up. They weren't necessarily prepared or aware, and most are just grateful the bow didn't break. Shitty parents never find a bow. They just walk outside and jab the arrow down in the mud, either not caring about what happens to it, or determined that it will never know it was supposed to soar in the first place.